After we talked about it last week, it seems like more and more people are coming on board with the idea that this may actually be what's happening. If you missed it, basically there are rumors going around that one of the guys over at Naughty Dog, Sean Eskag, he is the game director on something unannounced. We know they're working on something else that's big. And some people are saying that it is a new Uncharted game, potentially with the like protagonist reworked a little bit. So instead of it being Nathan Drake, it will be focused on Cassie. But some people are saying it will feature dual protagonists, which could be an interesting way to hand off the torch as opposed to just having it fully be Cassie. That could be interesting. They say that they're potentially targeting a 2029 release date. I tried to look up where these started from. A lot of them are circling back to a post from MBG, and then it's replied to by this guy, and then this is being used as the source. And I think he's a leaker, it seems. So I'm not familiar with him. I don't know if he's got like a good track record or whatever, but apparently that's what this is. As you can see, yeah, the 2029 date isn't coming from me. He says, I want to clarify a few things here. I never said there would be dual protagonists. I've said anything like this. It was assumption. So I don't know, man, but they're saying that is potentially happening. I don't know where the leaks are coming from. I don't know if they're reliable, but I think that at the very least, that type of thing makes sense. As for other things, it looks like Naughty Dog, potentially, people who have worked there are not surprised that they are going back to crunch. There was once more an interview on Kiwi Talks. Again, I tell you guys to follow Kiwi Talks all the time. But another interview with Benson Russell, former senior game designer at Naughty Dog. And he said specifically some interesting stuff about the crunch culture. They'll set internal deadlines and treat them like actual external deadlines. It's at that point you realize you've wandered too much, he continues. And it could be Sony tapping them on the shoulder, being like, hey guys, it's been 3 years, not seeing much from you. We've spent, I don't know how much money already. What's going on? And this is one of those clips.
After The Last of Us 1, when we had the meeting, because every meeting after that was always like, hey, what are we going to do to try and mitigate crunch? How are we going to make this better? And eventually it was just an admission in the meeting. It was like, well, we just come to realize this is what it takes to make games at our level. And we understand if you don't want to do that, that's fine. We understand. We'll write you a great letter of recommendation. That was the answer. So, wow. And it's like, and again, the company runs the way it wants to run. You either want to be a part of it or you don't. They're not technically breaking any laws, and they're not, it's not like a requirement. It is hey, we really could use your help. Please come here. And you're incentivized to do it because your bonuses will be bigger. Your contribution to the project affects, the amount of bonus that you're going to get. So, people, so they respect it. There are some people that had to leave strict schedules because of family. As we got older, they got families, kids, whatever.
And what's interesting is that if you're not familiar, basically after The Last of Us Part 2, Naughty Dog said they stripped away crunch culture. They stopped hosting like dinners for staff. They stopped doing a lot of those things because they realized it was creating a culture where people were incentivized to work extra late. People were staying at the office till 7, 8, 9 p.m. Some people were sleeping at the studio and working, all hours of the night. And they didn't want that anymore. So they broke it. They shed it, and they were very, very proud of that fact in the documentary they did on the creation and development of The Last of Us Part 2. However, at the end of last year, a story broke, I believe from Bloomberg, where Jason Schreier pointed out that they're actually back to doing it. They're back to crunching, and they were crunching to try and finish in a demo for an internal review that was due at the end of December. And so they went back to crunch. And then this interview happens, and he's describing how basically the company culture is becoming effectively like, this is just what it is. Naughty Dog crunches. And if that's something you're cool with, awesome, glad to have you. If you don't like that, we wish you luck somewhere else, but that's just how we do things. And it's interesting because I think what we've seen from Naughty Dog, obviously, is that at the very least, they were more efficient when they were able to get twice the labor out of people for the same pay. When they were able to get people staying at the office till 10 p.m., it seems like they were able to get games out faster. But what's interesting is that even when they removed that, you may think like it'll just take longer to get the same results now. But what seems to be the case is that actually they think it's just core to like the company culture. It's how they work, which is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. It's been 6 years from the last game. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think he's probably right that Sony is like, what are we doing? Sony's like, guys, it's been 6 years. We've gotten some remasters, sure, some remakes, sure, but like, can we get it together? Can we get it together? Like, please? What are we doing? What are we doing? So I wouldn't be surprised if over the next like few months and year, we hear more stories of like Naughty Dog bringing crunch culture back, and it's just how it's done now. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And I mean, honestly, if it's transparent, I can't really blame them. Like when I worked in real estate, it was well known that if you wanted to be successful at the company, you needed to like work crazy late hours. You were expected to come and work on the weekends. It was also like when I worked there, the owner of the company, genuinely a very nice guy, but if you wanted to be on his good side, he did a walk around the office at 7 p.m., between 7 and 7:30 p.m. every night. And if you were not at your desk, he wouldn't get mad at you, but he would know you weren't one of the go-getters. You know, you weren't exceptional. The guys that were still at their desk at 7:30, he saw that as like, wow, they're working extra hard. And maybe next time there's some opportunity, he's going to give you a call. So you're not forced to stay there, but if you know what's good for you, you will, you know? And so it just created this culture of like, you know what's expected of you, more. And if you're okay with that and you're willing to eat, sleep, live, and breathe this for the next 5 years, you can get pretty far and you'll do very, very well for yourself. But you got to be willing to make that sacrifice. And as long as it's like communicated, that's how they handled it. They were like, if you don't like that, you don't have to work here. Like, and it's also, they won't fire you for not being at your desk because stuff happens. But if they notice after a year that you've never been at your desk when he does the walk around, do you really think he's going to let you keep your desk when he could give it to this other guy fresh out of college who is going to be there till 9 p.m.? He'll probably give it to the other guy, you know? So I think it's just a reality of the American working world, it seems. And my suspicion is that especially as Eastern devs become more and more influential in the gaming space, like do you really think that crunch culture is a concern in China? We've seen how quickly Crimson Desert's dev Pearl Abyss has been pumping out updates for the game. Do you really think Pearl Abyss is not crunching? I think they probably are. And my fear is that like when these companies start to get really spooked, that they're going to be like, okay, well, to compete, we have to do it. So to compete, you have to be willing to put 80 hours in, but we're not paying you more. No. You're going to make the same money, but twice the work. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these studios, especially in the States, start to kind of have that attitude where it's like, hey, if you want to compete, that's just how it has to be. You know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Wouldn't be surprised at all. They'll just have infinite patches, Abyss gear. Oh, that works. That's the pressure Eastern studios are putting on the American industry. Yeah, well, it's, again, like, none of this happens in a vacuum. Pearl Abyss coming out, pumping out this stuff. There's going to be other studios capable of putting out really, really impressive stuff way cheaper and faster. And they're like, to keep up, Western devs are going to have to find some way to either cut corners or work more efficiently and work cheaper. And that's why all these studios are digging into like AI tools and seeing if that could work. And they're just trying to find a way to change the math to make it work. Because as of right now, why would you spend $300 million making KCD2 in California when you could spend 50 million making it in the Czech Republic? Because that's what they did. They made it in the Czech Republic for like 50, 60 million. All of a sudden, that's the difference between making a lot of profit and maybe barely breaking even, you know? And you as a consumer may not care as long as the product is good. But the executive cares. The guy in the suit and the skyscraper cares. And he has no problem firing everybody in the US if it's cheaper to do it in Eastern Europe, you know, or in Korea or wherever, you know. Real serious. Thank you for that. Crunch culture is definitely not a thing in Asia. I don't even think Hershey's bars are common here. They have their own dude, am I just their own candies? Dude, I read that as candles. They have their own candles. It's like, what? I guess what's the opposite? What's the Freudian slip? But when it's your eyes, when you start to read things that aren't there because it's on your mind, I guess. I'm not really sure what Hershey's bars have to do with Asian game development, but as for the work culture and things in some of these places, even if we say, like, for sake of hypotheticals, even if we say that they're not crunching, as I brought up, the pay standards are just different. I've brought this up many times because it's just such a clear example of it. But From Software, after the success of Elden Ring, they announced they were raising employee pay in April of 2025. That brought the starting pay for employees there all the way up to $2,050 US a month. It doesn't take like a mathematician to figure out that if you're able to get college grads that are talented, that know what they're doing, to come and work for you for $2,000 a month, in the US, the starting pay at like a Redwood office in Redwood, California, because the expense and the cost of living is so high, the starting salaries are like 60, 70, 80,000 a year, like a lot more. That's good, Jean-Claude. That's not the six figures I meant. I meant in USD. Yeah, you got to be clear. You have to be precise. 6 figures in yen is not going to do too well. Did I miss the joke? I might have missed the joke. I'm sorry. But I think this is also why, like, we just looked at it the other day, the GTA 6 budget video that was really interesting. Like Rockstar, they have a lot of animation work to do. Do they hire 1,600 people in California to do it? No. Are you kidding me? No, that's expensive. They founded a studio and they went over and hired 1,600 people in India, where the pay is comparatively minuscule. Again, I encourage you to watch that segment that we did because it's mind-blowing to find in their books how much money is actually being spent on those Indian salaries. It's shocking. It like is actually unbelievable. But that's just where it's going to go. It's going to go just like, you know, manufacturing hardware, phones, cars, whatever, how that went global. And you just had, you know, this part from Indonesia, this part from Mexico, this part from China, this part from Japan. And then they bring them all to one place where it's cheapest to assemble it all. It's going to be the same thing with gaming. That's basically what Rockstar is doing. Yeah, they have like 7,000 people working on GTA 6, but they're so spread out very strategically that, you know, it's just wild. It's just absolutely crazy. Oh, it was a joke about crunch bars. Oh, real serious. I'm sorry. Crunch culture. Okay. I'm okay. That's what it was. It was a crunch bar joke. I see. He's 6'7". Oh no, he said it. That's funny. That's funny. You're gonna cause Kino's gonna crash out, dude. Oh, that's funny. Real serious. Thank you for that one as well. I know Naughty Dog is in a league of their own, but how do smaller or similar AAA companies deal with this? Rockstar, Rocksteady, From Software, Bethesda, Sucker Punch. I think, of course, every company is different, but I think that once there's this company attitude of we'll just crunch if we aren't ready, like if we're not close enough, if it's not good enough, we'll just crunch. And I think that that's just the company attitude. And clearly it leads to Naughty Dog games that look and run amazingly well and that are really, really impressive. It delivers great products at the end of the day, but, you know, at the cost of the people that are doing it, you know, suffering in the process. I think every studio is a little bit different. The standards and expectations are different. It's also, there's the role of producers that's pretty crucial. Like producers in game development, their job is largely to orchestrate development and like scheduling and juggling all of the tasks for everybody to make sure they all get done at the right times and at the right pace. So that's something that Naughty Dog has also historically not had or struggled to implement. So that could also be a part of it. Overall, I think it's just it's a structural thing, but that's just how they do it. He took my